The Trailblazers have lost 6 of 8 and are now 8-14, just a quarter of the way through the season. We are going to review how the Blazers have looked so far through 22 games here on the Blazer Focus podcast. I'm Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian and OregonLive. I'm joined by Craig Birnbach. Craig, for a minute there, we were like, I think our last podcast we pointed out that they were 4-3 since the Memphis loss. And then now we can spin these things around and they've lost 6 of 8 since beating Minnesota twice in Atlanta after the Memphis loss. You think how things change really quick like that? So real quickly, before we get into reviewing the season a quarter of the way through, any impressions of the last, this run here, sort of what you see in terms of what's going wrong and what's not going right as they've lost 6 of 8?
I think that I was guilty of getting so excited over a couple, wins that I lost focus on the fact that the wins and losses, like they don't matter. They just doesn't matter because in the end, the goal is to lose. So they're kind of back on pace. I think I looked at it. They have the 6th worst record in the NBA, but Philly's still worse than them, and there's no way the Sixers can end up there, can they? I mean, it just can't. So, they're not going to be the worst team because the Wizards are that bad. So you're not going to get the top. You just have
to be in the bottom 3. The bottom 3 get the same chance.
Yeah, it's going to be real close. The East is so bad at the bottom. It's going to be hard. But I think it just
I haven't given up yet. Because hold on. Just listen to this. So Philly is going to get. They're not going to tank. Like they're going to try and win. So
they're going to climb. They can't tank.
They're going to climb out of this.
They just gave 2 stars ridiculous contracts.
The Wizards are going to be bad. We just need to be in the bottom 3. So they're going to climb out of it. And in the West, Utah. Yeah, I think Utah is going to be really hideous. I think the Pelicans, if they get Zion back, I think they're going to play their way back into the play-in chase. So I still think the Blazers have a really good chance to finish in the bottom 3 ping pong ball wise because they have not started to tank yet. Okay. The artistry of tanking will click in at some point around the trade deadline. Okay. And then you will see this team completely implode and play their way into the bottom 5 at least, if not the bottom 3. Anyway, continue.
But Charlotte's gonna probably do the same, and Utah's gonna do the same. And if New Orleans, I'm just saying they're not good. They're not that good. I'm just saying, like, if you're not, if why wouldn't you if you're not going to get there? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I agree with that.
And the Pelicans, they're 4-18. Like they might just blow it up. Because
they've come out and said they're still building around Zion. They're waiting for him to get back.
Oh, sure. What else are they going to say? And even if they do, they could blow it up and still build around him. But like, at what point, why do you want CJ? You know what I mean? Like, at what point do you not say, hey, we can trade him to a contending team? And if we think that Grant can go, then he can go. I'm just saying it's not going to be a cakewalk to the bottom 3. They're going to have to really stink. But they're playing that way, and here's the frustrating thing. I'll just say, I understand it, but it's hard for me to swallow. Like, oh, that's how you want to lose. Like that's how you want to lose when you're tanking. Like I'm like, sometimes it's not you, it's the other team that just plays hard enough to beat you. So I just don't like that. That's how you want to lose. It's hard.
It's hard to want to lose that way. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying, like, people like they played well and they only lost by 6. That's how you want to lose.
That is how you want to lose.
Right. But at the same time, that's such a subjective thing because in general, that's people just looking at the Blazers' performance, not looking at the other team's performance.
Yeah, I see.
So like the wins against Minnesota, not long after, you're like, oh, that's why they beat them. They suck right now. They're dysfunctional. And you're like, So it wasn't so much the Blazers playing
No,
well.
the first time the Blazers shot lights out. They shot 56% from three-point
True.
range.
Because
The
Minnesota
second win, Minnesota shot 17% from three-point range, which helped the Blazers win. But you got to give the Blazers credit for that first one.
I'm going to give them credit for both because they won.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, that's where it gets weird, right? Because you're
Yeah.
talking about offense. There is that other part, that defensive part. Like last night, there was none for the Blazers, and they lost. You know, they basically, the Clippers turned a switch in the fourth quarter and couldn't miss. But could they not miss because the Blazers can't play defense? I think a little bit. I'm just saying it's hard. It's hard for me to buy in. I understand it, but I don't know. It's like eating Brussels sprouts. I know they're good for me, but God, they taste terrible. They're angry lettuces. So I feel like same way when I try to accept that's a good loss. But I get it.
Right. All right. Okay, let's move on to our review of the quarter point of the season. So at the beginning of the year, I listed the 5 musts for a successful season that, of course, is not going to involve the postseason. Number 1, avoid injuries, because if you're not healthy, you can't accomplish anything, which is what we saw last season. Number 2, find a star. Number 3, establish offensive and defensive identities. Number 4 was continue adding assets, which we'll get to later because that's a down the road thing. And then number 5 was see young talent develop, which would be all the youngsters 25 and under or so. So let's start with number 1. Kind of quick. Injuries have been pretty decent. No, I think it's been pretty decent. Last year, 370 games lost to injuries, second most in the NBA. This year, going into the Clippers game, they were at 76, and that included the 20 missed by Matisse. Matisse doesn't factor into the future of this team, so those 20 don't matter. And then you did have Sharp miss the first 8, I believe, because of the shoulder thing, which if he only misses 8, you're good with that. And then the rest was just, little things here and there. So I think
No.
What?
Klingon
No?
out. Klingon's out.
He's only missed a couple of games.
Yeah, but he's out for 2 weeks minimum.
We're talking about the first quarter of the season. And if
okay. Scoot hurt. The guys I want to see have not been playing lately.
Fair? Okay, but they're not missing. Hold on a second. Scoot Henderson has played most of the games. Last year, guys were missing 20, 30, 40, 50 games, 70 games. You can't ask for complete. You can't ask for complete health. So Scoot Henderson so far has played in. Hold on, let's call it up. 16 games out of 21. That would be 64. You'd rather have 74, but 64 is better than the 32 Sharp played in. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm not saying it's an A. Right. I'm not saying it's an A necessarily, but given that most of the games missed have been by a guy who doesn't really factor into the rotation or the future, I think you're in pretty decent shape. But you say no.
I don't. I mean, the guys they need to play, Robert Williams can't stay. We need him to play so you could trade him. Can't stay on the court. Klingon starts playing well, hurts his knee. He's out. Scoot starts playing well. He's out. Everything goes wrong with, poor guy. Hurts a little here, gets into his lift ride or whatever, gets an accident. Sharp missed the beginning of the year.
Played 17 of 21 games.
Right, but now he's going to be out.
But we're talking about the first quarter of the season.
Okay. You're being very specific.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the first quarter of the season. Every guy I want to see almost every guy I've wanted to see has suffered an injury that's kept him out for more than one game. Grant, I don't care that much. He got hurt a little bit. He was back very quickly. Not a big deal. But Scoot, Simons was even out for a stretch. Klingon, Sharp, and Robert Williams all have missed significant time, in my opinion. I think you missed 5 of your 21 games. That's significant. That's me.
My God.
But okay.
Okay. We disagree. I think that things have gone pretty well so far. I think a guy playing 17 of 21, 16 of 21, 18 of 21, I think you're okay with that, especially what happened last year. You're not losing enough games to the point where it's detrimental to the overall goal of the season. That's what I'm saying. Clearly, he missed a couple of weeks. If he only misses a couple weeks all season,
If he
you're
only
pretty
misses
happy
a
with
couple
that.
weeks, yes.
Because the norm of a season for most teams is that most players are going to miss. Hardly anyone's playing over 75 games these days, right? If you get a guy into the 70s or high 80s, he had a pretty good season. Not perfect. These aren't the days of Michael Jordan playing 82 every year. So anyway, I think through the first quarter of the season, I think we've gotten to see mostly everyone we want to see play a lot, except for Sharp missing the first 8. Robert Williams, he missed some start the season as well. He's not going to play back-to-back. The concussion is kind of a fluke, but I don't think Robert Williams factors into the future. But we can't add that discussion to the adding assets thing because I think he's got to be the first guy to be traded. Okay, so we disagree there. I think it's pretty solid. Yep. You think it's not very good. I'm right. You're wrong. Okay, anyway, next.
Please put your decision in the comments.
We're gonna agree on this. Number 2, finding a star. Complete bust so far through 21 games. Now, again, it's just 21 games, but man, Sharp came out hot in his first couple of starts. Ant came back. They haven't really figured out how to play together yet, I don't think. So Sharp is averaging, 18 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, shooting 27% from 3. Again, he shows star potential, but he still has not put it together. And he's been given the green light. Chauncey Billups has told him, if you have separation, hit the jumper. If someone gets up on you, blow right by them. And we're not seeing him go out there and deliver those types of games like he did. He had the 30 in that. He had 33 and 32. He did it twice. The other games have been so-so. Anthony Simons, we've been talking about this all year. He had a really good 3-game stretch. Now, you were downplaying a little bit because you're nitpicking my boy, and that's fine. I get it. I get it. But in that stretch, his numbers are pretty incredible. He's shooting over 50%, I think, 40-something% on threes, averaging 27 points, 7 assists, until last night against the Clippers, he goes 2 for 11 from the field for 7 points, which to me, he has to get to the point where those things happen twice a month. And they should never be that bad. The bad game should be 4 for 18, 5 for 18, where he still gives you 15 points because he gets to the free throw line and gets you 7 assists. Those are the bad nights. It's not 2 for 11. That's unacceptable. He has to be better than that. He's still having the worst season of his career since he became a focal point of the rotation. And that's alarming because he should be the guy who should have been given to come into the season and at least demonstrate some star potential. And he hasn't done any of that. So
your words, not mine. He's going to average 25 a game.
I took him in my fantasy league again.
I don't. There's no reason this guy isn't averaging 20 a game. It's insane. I mean, there's points to be made. And Sharp's averaging 17.8. Here's the microcosm for me and all you need to know about where they are for a star. It's only one game, but last night, Clippers, not a good game. They play. But for a half and almost 3 total quarters, this was a shootout where the Blazers were scoring pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
And Sharp took 7 shots, and Simons had 11. And that's just, you can't. No. I don't know who's to blame for that, because you've said, and Chauncey's made it very clear, he's telling Sharp, go. Now, he went to the foul line 5 times, and Sharp shot extremely well. He shot 4 for 7, 5 for 5 from the free throw line. He finishes with 15 points. But he only took 7 shots. Like, Banton took 11 shots in 20-something minutes, because he's like, yeah, that's what I do. Well, Sharp, that's what you should do. And Ant, you got to get 20 shots. I don't care if you go 2 for 20. It'd be bad, but you shouldn't. But you are Anthony Simons. You should be the focal point of this offense. They're not good players out there with you necessarily. You're the best scorer. You can't take 11 shots. Now, you can't go 2 for 11. You can't continue to shoot as poorly as possible. But for this team, stars don't care. They take shots. You know what I mean? They just go. They have a scoring mentality that I'm the best scorer out here. I don't care if I miss my last 8, my last 10, I'm going to score. And that to me is a problem and Sharp, there are times when you forget Sharp's out there. You have to look.
Yeah.
And then he does something and you're like, oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys that do a great job on social media, whether it's Blue Sky or Twitter now.
X.
Well, they'll break down like Sharp just did this, and that, he got to his spot by doing this. He elevated and took contact, still scored. That was a nice sequence because it wasn't just scoring for Sharp, it was assist. And that's great. But the problem is they have to point them out because they're not happening all the time.
Right.
No one says, oh, Kevin Durant just showed you something right there specifically. No, he's awesome. He does what he does. And obviously he's not Kevin Durant. It's year 3, but even other younger guys, it should be a surprise when they're not producing, not a joy when they do certain things. It's year 3, admittedly, limited playing time for Sharp, but it is year 3. And there's no excuse for Simon. It's like this guy's got to snap out of it. He's got to be consistent. He did score the 30, which I asked him to do. He played well for 3 games. Really, he played in one game, he played well for the third quarter, and that was it. And he got in foul trouble, and he fouled out. And everyone's like, you can't blame him because he fouled out on an instinct play. I'm like, no, I don't blame him for that. I blame him for having 5 fouls and fouling out then. You don't play good enough defense to foul out. I'm just sorry. That's not why Simons is not in the game to play good defense and get 6 fouls. You should not foul out. So that's the frustrating thing because we want the one guy. I mean, your line that I wish I would have said that you almost gave me credit for was the Blazers are still building around a guy they don't have. And that's just in my head now when I'm watching this team. And Scoot has been okay, I guess. But he's not starting for a reason because he's not one of the best 5 players. He might be one of the best 5. No, probably not.
No.
He's not one of the best 5 players.
Not
That's
yet.
fair. And that's it. So they do not have a star.
Back to Ant. So in those 3 games before the Clippers game, 26 points, 6.7 assists, 4 rebounds, shooting 58% from the field, 54% from 3-point range. Of course, those shooting percentages are not sustainable. The problem is he goes 2 for 11 at the end of that. Before that, he went 2 for 14. Prior to that, he had a really good game going 10 for 20 and 4 for 11 from 3. And then before that, 2 for 7 and 1 for 3 from the field for 8 points and 4 turnovers at Houston when they lost. So yeah, it's bad, good, good with foul trouble, bad. And he has to be more consistent to reach the level they need him to reach. And the thing that's killing him, it's one thing to say, okay, well, he's not elevating his play to really warrant being the lead guard as of now, right?
Yep.
And on top of him not giving you someone you can say, okay, that's our lead guard, he's destroying his trade value.
Yeah.
Right? Not that you would trade him because Scoot is not proving that he's ready to lead the team or run the team. So if you trade Ant, you got to rely on Scoot or go get someone else. And if you're going to go get someone else, are you going to use Ant to get that someone else? Is someone going to give you someone else that you would want for? Who's going to really come after Ant now with anything really valuable when Ant's not playing well and not demonstrating that he can lead this team that's not even trying to win? There shouldn't be pressure. It should be just go out there and and the thing is, we've seen him do it.
He scored 33 at the end of that year when he hadn't played the whole year, and on a similar type team, with the sense that they were players that it was go do it. This game doesn't matter, and he scored 33. Right.
And then after Dame had the surgery and CJ was hurt, he went out and crushed it during that stretch
because he can score.
Right, and then even when he came back from the thumb for a stretch before he got sick, he was killing it. He was lighting it up. Yep. And so he's got to get back to that guy. He's shown flashes, but we're done with flashes. Flashes don't mean anything. I saw someone tweet the other day about, well, this is the Scoot Henderson. If he plays like that, then this is why they drafted him. Well, no, they didn't draft him to have 14 and 10. They drafted him to have 25 and 10. Because he's called transcendent and generational. That's not 14 and 10. That's not why they drafted him. If he's 14 and 10, you would probably take it as long as the 14 is efficient, but that's not what you drafted him for. So what my point is, like you just said earlier, it can't be these little spots here and there where you have to go and hunt for it. Someone showed Giannis his run the last 10 games. I don't expect anyone on this team to be Giannis, but my God, every night that guy went out and dominated. That's what stars do. And no one in this team has done anything other than a few little spots here and there to show, that they're a star. And that's alarming because you have Ant, who's been around forever, and you have three top 10 picks on the team, but we're not going to blame Klingon because he's young and out of shape. He needs time. But still, no one has emerged yet, but it's only a quarter way through the season.
And the thing, we're talking about statistics a lot. And to me, it's not just the statistics, it's watching. Simons does not look the same. He just doesn't. And Sharp doesn't take the ball, doesn't go. He tries to dunk over everything. I'll give him that, but he's not a presence where you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like John Morant from the jump. You're like, oh, you know, like, oh, like he wasn't perfect, obviously not off the court, but there are times when even when you look at other guys, they could play really statistically poorly. Sharp can play statistically poorly, and we wouldn't. But if he showed us something every single night, you know what I mean? Like not the moment, but like he's got to take 15 plus shots a game minimum. That's what stars want to do. And there's nobody telling him he can't. Like often with rookies that are on good teams, you're like, oh, well, they can't. You know, he's got to play within the system.
Right.
Oh, he is a system. They're saying you're the system. Go. So why are you taking 7 shots? Like, take a bad shot. Go to the rim. Try to get fouled. Like, more.
Right.
That's the part where I'm worried. It's not just, I mean, you said like, oh, good, 4 for 11. Ant's 4 for 11 for Ant from 3. That's good. But it's not
38%. Isn't that 37%?
Right. But like, that's not like, holy crap. That's like, yeah, that's what you should shoot. You have to. You can't shoot less than 38% from 3.
36%.
Right. That's not, you know what I mean? Like, yay.
That's not bad. That's what I'm saying.
It's not 2 for 11. It's not 2 for 18. Right. So yes, but I'm just saying like, those are the expectations would be his floor. You wouldn't be highlighting that. So, and that's the thing, the eye test right now, some of this isn't passing the eye test. And I just keep waiting for the switch to go off for both of them. We know Ant's switch exists. We've seen it. He's better than this. And with Sharp, I just so strongly believe it's there. You know what I mean? I do. And others do. So, like to see its end game run of him taking, 15 to 20 shots minimum.
So the other one who I didn't believe was necessarily going to elevate the star levels, but he did finish the season strong like last season. That was DeAndre Ayton. He's been solid. The fact that they were winning more when he went out, I think was very telling because Klingon and Williams were willing to do, the things that the rest of the players needed to be done in order to play better. Ayton did come back. Since he's come back from his injury, though, I mean, 8 for 11, 8 for 10 from the field, 11 for 19, 7 for 10. I mean, the last 4 games, he's been 19 and 8 at a high efficient rate, 68%, but not star caliber, right? And so,
and for me, that is system. They're not running the offense through 8. You know what I mean? Like he's doing what he can do. And I don't think it's his fault that they don't, and especially if Simons and Sharp aren't using him in the pick and roll to dominate on offense, that he's doing what he can do. And they don't revolve the offense around him. He hits his mid-range. He dunks when they throw it to him, right? I mean, he's just not outstanding. He's good.
Amen. All right. That's pretty much it as far as who we would think would establish themselves. Okay. So establishing. Go ahead.
I want to talk Denny.
That's in the younger players' development.
Okay, got it. All right. Don't let me get. All right.
I know you're all excited about Denny. I know. All right. Establishing an offensive and defensive identity. Okay. So here's what's interesting. For the biggest, there's a ton of categories they want to improve in, but 4 of the biggest were defensive defensive rebounding. For whatever reason, they allow a ton of offensive rebounds and a ton of second chance points, right? So defensive rebounding is supposed to be a thing. 3-point shooting, turnovers, overall defense. defensive rating, stuff like that. All right, so let's start with 3-point shooting. So the Blazers ranked, this is going into the Clippers, 24th in the league at 33.8, whereas last year they ranked last at 34.5. So their ranking is up, but their shooting percentage is less than it was last year. All right, Simons, Denny, and Sharp off to bad starts for their based on their best numbers of their career. But since the 4-42 against Memphis, though, they were shooting 36%, which is a little, slightly better, but not great. The thing about this team is that they have a lot of guys who can have a night, right?
Yep.
But most of the time they're not. And so the mixture, if it all hits on one night, they have a big night like they did against Minnesota, right? Or some other night. And then if it all's bad, then it's just down the dumpster. And then if it's, middle of the road, it's going to be in that 33% range. So the point is, they don't have enough guys who are consistently good to carry the night when the other guys struggle a little bit. And that's why they have such bad nights where they shoot 17%, 18%, whatever. So no real improvement there, but I'm hoping that if Ant can turn things around, he can help be that guy who's consistent enough to keep them from dropping under 30 on a given night. Make sense?
Yeah, my only thing when you look at the team, Simons is the only should be. If you look at him, he's a good 3-point shooter. Should be. He's not, but he is, and that's it. Kamara's been really good.
Grant's been 40 for his career, in Portland. In Portland, he has.
Yeah, Grant's okay. Yeah, he's good. He's just and he's been really good at times. I'm just saying they're not good shooters. They're not a good shooting team. If you add them all up. So I don't see how they're going to do that much more improving there. And I didn't.
So Grant's at 36. So Grant's at 36, should be 40. Anthony's at 33, should be high 30s, if not 40. So those two guys should be the guys who should keep things afloat when other guys are struggling. Instead, they're the guys struggling.
Everyone.
And so then that just drops you down.
Kamara's been their most consistent 3-point shooter,
which is crazy. So they're 30,
right.
And he's at 42%. Yeah, no, I give him credit. He's at 39%, but he's only taking 4. The other guy's shooting worse or shooting 6 or 7 a night. So they're at 33.9% now after the Clipper game. So anyway, so that area has not
good.
gotten better. Turnovers, the Blazers, this is going to the Clippers, committed 15.2 last season, 29th, and we're at 17 this season, also 29th. So that has not gotten any better. And they've had games where they've done a lot of things well, except the other team got 28, 30 points off of turnovers. And that's just because so now you gotta come up with enough offense when you can't shoot to compensate for the fact that you're just giving away points. Right. And the Dallas game was crazy because they only allowed Dallas to get 3 second chance points. And I think they were 6th in the league in second chance points. And also I think there's another stat they held them down in, but they had 20-something turnovers that led to 33 points. You can't, Chauncey made the point. He said, you can't give a good team led by someone like Luka 33 free points and expect to win. So that area has not improved at all. Comments?
I mean, to me, you can't. You're not good enough defensively. You don't cause enough turnovers to give up that many turnovers. You can't shoot to overcompensate that. You don't rebound well enough to compensate that. You can't. You got to take care of the ball. But at the same time, why would you think this team wouldn't turn it over when they have a lead guard who's playing really poorly in Simons and their
backup point guard turns it over a lot.
Turns it over a lot because he's super young, and Denny, who's probably your third playmaker now, has been playing a lot better, but played awful for a little while there. So but they don't have that safe guard, that comes off the bench that he's not going to score. He's going to play good defense, and he's going to, he's not going to turn it over. And Banton, love the guy, but he's all over the map with the ball. Like, he's going as fast as he can and often turns the ball over. So I mean, expecting this team to not turn the ball over is like putting blinders on.
Right. And that's why expecting them to win was ridiculous for some people. So Chauncey said the other day at practice, he said that, look, you should. Okay. So one point he said something and then I came back with, so it sounds like at least you're not getting a lot of selfish turnovers. Like people aren't doing something completely ridiculous necessary. They're trying to make the right play. And that's what he said. He said, yeah, we don't have selfish guys who are doing selfish things and committing turnovers. We have guys, though, who in the moment aren't making the right decision or they're trying to do too much, et cetera, et cetera. And he's talked earlier this season about, getting rid of the ball. Like you got nothing, get rid of it. Don't try and create something. And I tweeted during the game the other day that this team dribbles too damn much. There was one play where Simons took like 18 dribbles and then shot a jacked up three. There was no flow to the offense. Sharp, all these guys are looking for, to create something instead of moving the ball around, which is how you create assists. And it should lessen turnovers as long as you're not doing something crazy. But he said there's a lot of guys on our team who just need to work through it. Like there's nothing you can do. You just have to let them go out there, make mistakes, and watch the video, which is what he said they did after the Dallas game. And it's kind of humbling. And you hope guys learn from it and improve, and it's just going to take time. But everything you just said about who they have personnel-wise is part of the reason why they haven't matured in that area. All right, defensive rating. 114 last year. No, it's 114 going into the game against the Clippers. 114.1 21st. Last year, 114.3 21st. So no movement whatsoever. However, Chauncey made a good point. He said, look, in the half court, we're not bad. It's the turnovers that are giving up all these points, extra points, and second chance points, and the bad defensive rebounding that's sort of inflating the amount of points they give up. And that's fair. So I didn't find a stat on their half-court defense, but there's some fairness there, especially with the way Tumani defends on the perimeter and the defense you were getting from Klingon and Williams. But still, overall, the defensive rating is not better. But at least I feel like from an identity standpoint, I think they are at least with the added length, going with Tumani, having Denny, not having two small guards starting together in the backcourt, right? Klingon and Williams, two guys who are committed to playing defense. That, to me, I feel like I see something resembling a solid defense out there. I don't feel like their defense is horrible like I used to in the past. I do think they're giving up a lot of silly second chance and points off turnovers.
Last night it was terrible. They have 127 to the Clippers, like
the Clippers shot the lights out though.
Yeah, because there wasn't good defense. They were wide open.
Hater. So, okay. That's fair. All right. Anything else from that category?
No, I think.
What about offensively? Do you think they're establishing anything offensively?
At times, but I don't know what they do great. I don't know what they do really well yet. The one thing that's not in this list that I'll say is they play hard most of they play hard most of the time, which that's something, what I mean? Like there are teams that don't, and that kind of poison kills it for fans. It kills it for, that's when people get fired. That's when guys get traded despite any talent or possibility. So they're just not very good. And they haven't, in my opinion, they don't have the guys to establish the offense around. When Simons lit it up, they let him go. You know what I mean? Like it makes sense. When Sharp's going crazy, the problem is they don't know who to go to. And that's why Grant at times is so valuable, because he picks it up, like, all right, I'm going to hit this three because we need a shot. I'm going to take it. And that's where the Simons and the Sharp part I'd like to see more. Like, oh, they're going to run this part of the game through Sharp.
Right.
They're going to run this through. I mean, Simons doesn't anyone to run it through him. He just needs to not give it up. But, work the pick and roll better. Like you said, the offense will, instead of everyone dribble and pass, there's an open Simons, right? Pass. Simons is one-on-one. He gets to the hole. So I don't see anything in that stretch when Klingon and Williams were playing. They were picking and rolling pretty darn good. You know what I mean? And this league is a pick and roll league. It's like 27% of all offense in the NBA is pick and rolls. And some teams are much higher. So when you look at a team like the Blazers that don't do that extremely well, you're like, well, that's a huge hole. You know what I mean? There's just no denying it.
Agree. Their offensive rating is about 27th in the league, I think, which obviously isn't good. The one thing you have to give them credit for is they have improved their pace. Their pace is 12th. I think last year they were second to last or last or something like that.
Yeah, he said we're going to run more.
They're
That's
playing. They're
you
playing
get to
a little
run
faster.
when you turn the ball over. You got to run back at least.
But their defensive rebounding. No, sorry, that's sorry. The defensive rebound is really bad, but the fact that they're getting up their pace without getting as many, snatch and goes as most team would be getting is, I think, something to latch on to, I guess.
There you go.
All right, let's get to where you wanted to talk about your boy Denny. All right, see some young talent develop. So Chris Murray looked better for a minute. He's kind of regressed. Repair has some moments. Clearly, Repair, Walker, and oh my God, who's the other three? The third guy. Repair,
Murray,
Walker. Yeah, that's right. I had Murray in that one. Clearly, those three. Oh, and Reith as well.
not even he's not in the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, those four guys. I know people like Repair, and Repair's still young. Like, who knows where he's going to end up? He's 20, right? You got to give him a fair shot. I think Murray, if he can keep improving his shooting, which has dipped lately, and so now he's down in the 31 or something like that. Where was he at? So if he can't hit 31.3%, if he can't stick that at 39, because he doesn't do much else, he's got to be a sharpshooter.
Look, he's had some moments, but
everyone's had moments.
The guy's averaging 4 points a game. Like, he's a first round draft pick. You can't sugarcoat that.
Yeah, and on a bad team, he's not. Yeah, so I don't feel like there's necessarily a for sure. And I'm thinking in terms of rotation guy when this team is contending for a playoff spot, not the play-in, contending for a top 6 out the gate, right? Not having to go into the play-in. So I just don't think those 4 are long for this team, especially when you're able to add someone like Denny. Denny comes in and goes right ahead of Murray, Walker, and Repair, and those 3 I don't think are going to catch him anytime soon, right? Scoot has been a little better in some things, but we haven't seen a large jump from him at all.
And also, we're ignoring the fact that we had our expectations for him was, that the jump would have to be real, and it almost
it's minuscule.
It's not.
It's just
not
minuscule.
A huge jump, or he'd be starting. No.
Yeah, and again,
he leads the team in assists.
Yeah, he does. And he had a 3-game stretch where he had 27 assists over 3 games. So, but you compare to last year, he's shooting 41.6 compared to 38.5. That's good. 3-point wise, 32 to 32.5. So he dropped down a little bit. Points, he's down, but that is expected. He's getting fewer minutes. He's getting fewer shots. His assists are exactly the same. His turnovers are down by 0.3, but again, fewer minutes. Right. So when you look at his stats across the board, it's pretty much the same guy. And that's disappointing because I would want to see him in the 44% shooting, 35 to 36% from threes, and the assist to turnovers to go to 7 to 2 instead of still being at 5.5 to 3.5. So not much.
And the eye test.
Right. He's still
the wow.
Exactly.
Like,
he does not wow.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Dang,
exactly.
He just crossed him up, or holy crap, he just dunked on that guy, or oh my gosh, did you see that? And that's what you need from a top 3 player. I mean, that's just the truth. And we don't get enough of that.
Right. And what's crazy is he'll make a good play, and I'll see some people on press row be like, "Oh yeah, that was good. That was good." It's because everyone's fishing. Everyone's looking for something. It's almost like the guy. It's like the hot shot prospect in baseball who comes up, who's struggling, but then he hits a double. You're like, "Oh yeah, did you see that? Yeah, he roped that to the gap. Yeah, but he's batting 190. Right? He struck out 3 times. That day. So that's,
good is not good enough for a top 3 pick.
Exactly. And he's
still
the 20.
It's not,
he's still only
it's not
20.
even his fault.
No, he's still only 20 though. So,
yep.
I'm not saying he's done. I'm just saying we haven't seen the leap. Just like we haven't seen the leap from Sharp and we haven't seen a leap from Ant. So one person who came in struggling but has been hot lately is your guy, Denny. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, he has
over to you.
Our argument last time was you were like Kamara over Denny, and I wasn't dissing Kamara. I was just saying it's better for the Blazers if Denny at 23, a guy who, average, 14 a game and 7 and can play make, could continue the upward momentum from last year, clearly not from the beginning of the season, and end up being a no doubt starter, that'd be great for the franchise. And he's coming off the bench, but in the last, 5 games or so, he has been one of the best, at times the best player on the court for the Blazers and shown the potential. Still not consistent enough, but he's been fun to watch. He still struggles as close to dunk. That dude should only dunk, because everything else close to the rim seems to avoid the rim avoid the net. But he's a guy that can do so many things. He's electrifyingly fast. He's strong. He plays good defense. He shot the 3 decently last year, at least from the corner for Washington. And he can pass. So I just liked how he's been playing lately. And in this short window, I'd rather play my last 5 games really well than my first 5 games really well. And I think if he continues to play extremely well, it'll be interesting to see what Chauncey does, because how do you fit him in the starting lineup? I don't know.
So listen to this. Since going 1 of 5 from the field against Minnesota in the second win, he had 7 points that game. He is averaging 15.7 points, 6.6 rebounds, 3.4 assists while shooting 49.5% from the field and 46.3 from long distance. And that's on 4.6 shots per game from out there.
Yeah.
So over the last 9 games, he's been one of, if not their best player. And even last night, he only had 15 points, but he got dinged up a little bit.
Great first half. Just the second half, he disappeared.
Right. 6 for 9, 3 of 3
Everyone
on
did.
threes. He's been a lot better. But yeah, the thing at the rim is just weird.
It's weird.
He needs to go in the gym and take 1,000 shots inside the circle. The half circle. Just 1,000 of them. Just every day. Because it is kind of bizarre. It's almost like Nurkic. Remember Nurkic would miss those easy ones down there too.
I was just going to say him and Nurk can have a contest.
Right. He needs to clean that up. But there's been some nice times though. He gets the defensive rebound, goes down the court, takes it to the rack, makes some plays. So yeah, it's good to see him play a lot better. And listen, man, he rebounds, which is something my boy Jeremy doesn't do. And if he continues to play this way and shoot, he's not going to shoot 47% from 3, but
he shot 37% from 3
last year.
Right? Yeah,
but that was
the way
on
his
3
game
attempts
is,
and mostly from the corner. But he's been hitting from outside, from up top.
Yeah,
that's different for him. I haven't looked at the shot chart for him exactly, but I feel like he's making more from it has to be because he's shooting 47% or whatever. But no, he's been a better all-around player than Jeremy because Jeremy doesn't rebound. And Jeremy's not shooting very, very well. But over the last 9 games,
and Jeremy's not a playmaker that much.
Right. He doesn't get a lot of assists.
Denny runs the, plays point forward on this team.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid. He plays super hard. Not that Grant doesn't, but I'm just saying that's the other thing about him is he has confidence. You could see it. He's like, I know what kind of team I'm on. I'm good. I could go. I could shoot. I can run this offense, and he plays defense.
Right.
And he's a good complainer with the refs. I love his facial expressions. He never makes a foul. No.
All right. So we like his development. Now, Tumani clearly has made huge strides this year. He's shooting really well from 3. You cannot leave him wide open. He's becoming a legit D and 3 guy. Doesn't have much of an offensive repertoire other than that, but I think he's leading the NBA in charges drawn at 10 or something like that.
His defense is just
he can D up on almost anyone. Obviously, he didn't stop Luka. Damn, I got this frog in my throat, man. Better. Anyway, so he's developed, right? So that's good. But you still haven't seen a star develop, which is the big thing. All right. Last thing, add assets. That's going to be a trade deadline thing, which is in February 8th, I think. Top 3 guys. Okay. For me, if someone out there is looking to dump a young player that you love, do what you can to go get him. Clearly, you want picks. If there's a contender that needs something, you can get a pick in this first round of this upcoming draft. You got to make a move. Who are the top 3 guys that you would think you'd want to see? Not that you want to see them gone, but you think it's time to trade them to get some assets for the future because their future here probably is cloudy.
I mean, I only really see. I mean, to me, Robert Williams, if he could play healthy, people will want him. You know, because he is the exact kind of final piece to a team. Because, like you said, time and time again, you don't have to worry about him on offense. He plays strong defense. He rebounds. He blocks shots. Seems to be like a great teammate. So get him healthy. You could trade him. Grant, there's no future here for him. He's too old. But I don't know how you're going to, we'll see what the market is for him and what you can get. So to me, those two are the most obvious choices because it's not just who you want to trade, it's who wants your guys for what they're worth. I mean, trading Ayton, you're going to have to give him away. That contract and what he brings, like no one, and I don't know why Simons, I don't know why you trade Simons now. Like, I was all thinking before you had to because you thought Scoot was your starting point guard, but no one's there with that right now. And you don't want to trade a guy when he's playing worse than he's ever played before. But I do think that Simons, his contract is really good. There's enough talent there.
He's only got 1 year left though.
Right. But part of that is you're not going to trade Simons to a team who doesn't have multiple assets probably. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who takes him now. That's the odd part. Like, I used to think Orlando was the perfect spot. They're playing too good. I don't know if they have a winning record. Last night the Knicks, tore through them, but they have a winning record without their best player. So it'll be interesting to see. But he's not going to be hard to unload for a first, in my opinion.
Who, Grant?
No, Simons. That contract's sorry. Even with just 1 year left. I mean, he's still young enough. If you believe in him, it's almost like you give him a 1 year tryout and then you'd give him a big contract, or you don't. So lower first round draft picks for some teams, that's not too much to give up on a guy that could be your starting lead guard, or, but I don't know why the Blazers would trade him now. You literally don't, you know what I mean? Like, what do you have if you trade him?
I'm in agreement. It would have to be really good. And the problem is he's not going to fetch really good right now because he's struggling. So I'm with you on the Williams and Grant. I saw some people talk about, Williams is great. He should be a part of the future. He's got 1 year left next year at $12 million. If someone calls me up and says, I'll give you a first round pick, I need that guy. I need defense and rebounding for the playoffs. Bye. Take him.
Got to.
Got to.
I mean, it's not even
he's just too much of an injury risk, man. And he's
only got 1 year left. He's not gonna sign somewhere else probably.
That's the thing. That's the thing. If he plays really well, he's gonna command more. And are you gonna risk that? And if he doesn't play really well, you're gonna be stuck with him and not be able to move him anyway, or have to toss him into another deal like you did with Malcolm, right? So if he continues to play well, comes back from this concussion and kills him, and someone will give you something solid for him, then he's got to go. Grant, I'm with you, man. And I'm with you just because Grant needs to go somewhere and have a chance to win. I would hate to see him be trapped here. I want to see him go somewhere where we can have a chance to win. I think 2 firsts might be too much given his age and the contract. I would take a first and just, go with Denny and Tumani. And plus you're hoping to draft an impact forward in the next draft anyway. So if you draft an impact forward, and let's say Cooper Flag, which I'm speaking into existence. If you get Cooper Flag and you got Denny and Tumani, what do you need Grant for? You're better off starting Denny or Tumani alongside Cooper Flag than you are starting Grant still at 30 minutes. So Grant to me, this guy they got to try and move along with Williams for sure, 100%. We agree. Yay! Agree. All right, what else we got before we close out here? You gotta go.
No, I think we've wrapped up the first 25%
That went longer than
of the season.
All right, good work. I know you're excited for the end season tournament. It's too bad the Blazers didn't make it. I was so hoping.
Go New York, go New York, go.
Go New York. Blazers have won, or the Blazers, Damian and the Bucks have won 8 of 9. They're going into that tournament as a high seed.
Top seed.
Yeah. So we'll find out soon whom the Blazers play during the knockout rounds. They got to fill in those couple of days there. And that'll be a part of our discussion next week, I'm sure, because that'll add some intrigue to the schedule. When we come back at you with the Blazer Focus Podcast, I'm Aaron Fentress. He's Craig Birnbach. We'll catch you later.